Hey guys, and welcome to RC and Legos, and today we are making Boombox version 2. Alright guys, I am starting with the Sub-box. The reason why I didn't start this video designing it is because this box was already designed by a professional, not me. You can go check him out on YouTube at Hexibox. Yes, I did ask his permission to use the design, or at least I tried to, because he didn't respond back to my email or the comment that I left on his YouTube video. But I will leave a link to his channel in the video he has on the Sub-box in the description. He has some different designs of the Sub-box too. He calls them Hexibox V1, V2, and V3. I chose the Hexibox V3, or the dual Sub-box. I was originally going to base my design off the single Sub-box, but when he came out with the dual Sub, I just had to print the dual Sub-box. But the reason why I wanted to make a second boombox was when he said, you can use this for a portable speaker, and that got my mind turning. Now to fit the Sub-box on my 3D printer, I had to cut each half into 4 different pieces. And then I used these alignment pins here to make sure that they all fit together nicely, like if it was one piece. However, on the top side of the box, I decided to use a tone and groove kind of style. So here, this would be called the tone, and in here would be called the groove, where the tone slides into, which is the design that Hexibox used to align his top and bottom of his Sub-box. Alright, let's get back to printing. Alright guys, the last piece of the Sub-box is done printing. So now we will take it and glue all the pieces together. And this just fits right there. Big thanks to my dad here, as he helped me hurry up and get everything glued together before it would dry. Yes, we didn't use fast drying JB Weld, but it's still nice to have some help and somebody who knows what they're doing. So big thanks to my dad for helping me throughout this whole build, actually, and giving me tips and pointers. Now my dad is spreading glazing putty all over the sub-box so he can sand it down later and make it nice and smooth for painting. Alright, now that we are done painting it, thanks to my dad for pretty much painting the whole thing, it's time to put some feet on it and wire up the speakers. So first let's put on some feet, and I'm using these. These are 1/4 inch or 19mm self-adhesive clear bumpers, or as in this case we're using them for feet. So if you see, there are 8 in here, and I'm pretty sure we just got these like at Menards or something like that. There's 4. Now the box. That's it. But it isn't very flat. So to do that, I'm going to put another one on this side. Here we go, guys. It is all level out. No more wobbling. So that means it won't be vibrating on the table. So let's go wire up the speakers. Alright, so to seal the speakers in, I use blue tack to seal them. And then later on I put screws where the screw holes are in the speakers to make sure they stay in there. So now, let's start on the top box. But instead of showing you a bunch of boring 3D printer time lapses, how about this time I just show you the end results and me taking them off the build plate. Sound good? Good, because that's what I'm gonna do. Alright guys, the first part is done, so let's take it off. Hopefully it shouldn't be too hard, since the bed's still hot. Let's see. There we go. Doink. Alright. There we go. Just have to remove the supports now. Sweet. Alright, on to the next one. Alright guys, second piece is done. Now we just have to take it off the bed. Then we can start the third one. Get it in there. There we go. Oh, moving everything. Oh. There we go. Pop. Alright, on to the next one. Alright guys, third piece is done. Just one more to go. Then we can start gluing them together. This one's stuck. There we go. Alright, time for the last one. Alright guys, the fourth part just finished. So now we can take it off. Then all that we need to do yet is clean them up and glue them together. Use some gap filler, sand that, and paint them. Alright, let's start cleaning these up. What in the world just happened? Hello? Is anybody there? Anyways, back to the video. Alright guys, now that we have everything cleaned up and sticking together, now it is time to actually glue it together. So first I am going to start with the bottom box because it seems like everything lines up better on that. And then I will make the top part of the box fit to the bottom part of the box. So first we're going to glue this one together. And to glue it together, I'm going to be using JB Weld, which is what I used on the Sub-box. And then something simple like a popsicle stick. You can stir it and then use to spread it around. Alright, let's get started. Alright, now that the bottom part of the top box has been glued, I need some way to clamp it together so it doesn't move. I had to get a little creative with this step because we only have 2 clamps that are big enough to reach from one side to the other side of the box. What I ended up doing was cutting some wood to evenly spread the weight across the box. But the only problem with doing it this way is if you didn't get all of the JB Weld off of the surface of the cracks, then the JB Weld could stick to the wood. But I guess we will find out. Alright, now that it's all clamped together, we'll come back tomorrow and see if everything worked. Alright guys, it is the next day. And it should be all dry. So let's take it out of this bracing that holds it together. Let's see how it did. Looks like it glued itself to one side of the board. There we go. Just a little wood there. Easily sand that down. But hey, there it is. It's staying together. Sweet. Alright, now I just have to line up the other pieces on top and glue the top together. Alright guys, the top part of the top box is all glued together. Got it all clamped up. Hopefully it doesn't glue itself to the bottom part of the box down there. I have it sitting on there so it's all lined up, so it lines up when it's all done being glued together. Hopefully clamping just the top here, it didn't clamp the bottom, and hopefully it doesn't glue itself together, but who knows. First time doing this, so I guess we'll check back when it's dry. Alright guys, the glue is all dry now, the JB Weld, but guess what happened? It glued itself to the other side. So hopefully it's not too hard to get apart. And then after we get it apart, then we can spread some of this Bondo glazing spot putty on it, sand it down, make it all nice and smooth, get rid of these humps and stuff. Then we can paint it and hopefully put everything together. Can't wait. Alright, let's see if we can get this apart. Alright, well, that wasn't too hard, I guess. Maybe over exaggerating, but I didn't know. All I knew it was stuck together a little bit. But it is separated. So now it's time to start spreading that Bondo on there. And then we can sand it. Alright, let's get started. Alright guys, we are almost ready for paint. All we have to do is drill out the holes that we want drilled out. It's like these holes and all these, because it's easier to see them right now, because they're bright pink and stuff. And then we can paint it. Almost there, guys. Alright, we're ready to paint. Alright guys, next thing I'm going to do is install the latches. So I'm going to want to be able to get in here later, like I say something needs to be replaced with electronics or something, and I am going to upgrade the battery pack down the line too. So I really want to get into this top box, so I'm going to do that with some latches. So we are going to mount them up. And for the bottom half of it, I'm just going to lay it flat on the top here, and then set it here, drill a couple holes, screw it on, do that for all the bottom. Then the top half is going to be a little bit trickier to get right, but we'll figure it out. Alright, let's get these bottom ones on. Alright guys, the bottom halves of the latches are on. I did cut the front screws off and filed them down a bit so they're not as sharp. I will do that with the back ones, but the battery hold down is still drying. So once it's dry and I'm able to take the batteries out, then I'll be able to get to those easier. But so far it's coming along pretty good. Alright, let's move on to the next thing. Alright guys, so now we're going to mount the top latches, and to do that we need to take what we just done, take them off, and I have this caliper set here to the length that we need, where we need to mount the top hooks. Look like this. To mount them, where to mount those, right up here. So we get a good nice springing action on these to make sure it holds the lid down tight. So let's pull all these off and screw on and mark the new one. Alright guys, all the latches are on and functional, just like that. Pretty cool. So now we're gonna take all the latches off and take the top off like that. Isn't that cool, guys? And now our battery hold downs are in there. It's nice and solid. So now we can take it off and finish grinding down our screws here for the latches. Now that I got the screws ground down off camera, it is time to do my favorite thing, wiring. Not really, but luckily it isn't too complicated in this build. I will show you guys how it works after I get it done. Alright guys, wiring is all done and we are about to test it out. So here on the back, we got our main power switch for the battery, and these two are for the charging port. So this one is if you just want to run the amplifier, and this one is for charging the battery. Now you can see over here, we got our voltmeter, says it's at 86% battery. And right here I have a 24 volt power supply. So, if I plug this in, good, no sparks or smoke yet. Just like that. And let's say I want to charge the battery. Just be able to flip that switch. Should be able to see it go up, maybe. Yep, there it goes, 87, 88. So good. It's working, it's charging. All right. Now let's test to see if the main power switch works. All right, so come over here. Right now it is off. If I turn this on, we shouldn't see a little blue light. And there's no little blue light. All right, so if I turn this off, turn on the main power switch, and then turn on the amplifier. Boom, little blue light. And if I turn that off, yep, sweet. That works. Now let's see if we can power the amplifier through the plug-in. So this one is to power the amplifier. And remember the main power switch is off. All right, let's see if it turns on. Yep, there it is. Looks like it works, guys. And no smoke. All right. Now I get to hook up the speakers and stuff. All right, guys, next thing I'm gonna work on is drilling out these holes here so we can mount the front grille when it is done. And also drill out these holes here for the speakers. As you can't really tell from this angle, but if I show you, you can see the bottom is out more than the top. So I'm guessing with over time, they do kind of start to lean. So it would have worked fine in Hexibox's video, only testing it for a short time. But for something that I want to last and see a little bit longer, I'm going to put screws in these speakers. So either make sure they're lined up and drill some holes through them, put some screws through them. Oh, and also guys, I did mount these speakers off camera and mount the amplifier, but that was simply just setting the speakers here, marking the holes, drilling them out, putting the screws in, and bringing the wires up through the holes that I made before, drilled them out, and hooked up all the cables behind the amplifier. All right, let's start drilling things out. guys, now that the subwoofers are screwed in, now I need to clean up this access sealer, and then we can put a cover on it. So how you clean this up is you take a toothpick. Why not use a small screwdriver or something? Because it could scratch the paint off. But wood is soft enough that it doesn't do that. And it picks up that white stuff. See, just like that. Alright guys, next thing we need to do is glue the front covers together. So in the design I have this lip here and then this other side, but when you print it I don't use supports, otherwise the supports will get stuck in there. So we have to Dremel them out a little bit so they will fit together. Then we can super glue them together. Alright, so here's the super glue I'm using. You can actually see it's tire glue. Guess what? It's the same thing. But this is an older super glue, so I have more time to get things correct and lined up before it sticks for good. Because CA glue or super glue, same thing, sticks really good, bonds really good to plastic. Alright, now we wait for it to dry. Alright, got the speakers all nice and cleaned up. Now it's time to put the cover on. Guys, the bottom is on. Now I did install the top grill off camera, so now I'm gonna start designing the handle. Alright guys, finally, the boombox is done, and here is the finished product. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed today's very long video. If you liked how long it was, please leave me a comment. Also, big thanks to Hexibox for designing the Sub-box, because this boombox wouldn't have been possible without it. And of course, thank you to my dad, Blaine, and all of my viewers who help and support me. Just to let you know, all the parts used in today's video will be in the description, and the files so you can print and build this yourself will be on my thingiverse, which will also be in the description. Thank you guys so much, and have a great rest of your day. Bye!